So when I was a sophomore in high school, I had this teacher who would only let the students in her class use the restroom one time per semester. Well, one day I raised my hand and I was like, excuse me, I don't remember her name. Can I please use the restroom? And she was like, no, you can't because you've already used the restroom in my class this semester. Well, excuse me, you can't dictate my bladder. So I'm like all frustrated and I started secretly texting my mom because I wasn't allowed to use my phone in class. And I was like, Mom, I'm sitting in class right now. My teacher won't let me use the restroom. And she was like, I'll take care of it for you. And I was like, okay. So like 5 minutes goes by and all of a sudden my teacher's phone starts ringing and she walks up to it and answers it and she's like, hello? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, thank you. And then she walks up to me like so angry and she like slams the pass on my desk and she was like, since you have to go that bad. And I was like, yeah, I really do. Thanks. And I got up and left. I didn't even have to go to the bathroom. It was just the principle of it. I just roamed the halls.
Fished by my dad. So me and my best friend were kind of just like swiping through Tinder for fun. And then she came across this really, really hot dude. So of course, she swiped right and they talked all night long. And he said he had an Android, so he couldn't FaceTime, but his messages were blue, so I thought something was off. She was too blinded to see that something was up in the first place because she was messaging with a really hot guy. So about a week of them just like texting back and forth and I guess getting to know each other, they decided that they were going to meet up. So they both decided that they were going to meet up at an Olive Garden near them. And you see, as her best friend, of course, I'm going to have to go with her. So I got dressed up and I sat about 5 tables away from her. And we got there about 30 minutes earlier than we were supposed to be there. Okay, so my best friend had 3 bowls of fettuccine alfredo before he got there. So when he got there, it wouldn't look like she ate a lot. Then I see my dad walk in, all dressed up and fancy with a bow tie and everything. The story time just gets so much more funnier, so like for part 2. Part 2 of how my best friend was catfished by my dad. Continuing with the story, I see my dad walk into the restaurant all dressed up. Mind you, my dad's married. To my mother, of course. So I was like, ooh, my dad and my mom are finally going on a date together. And then he looks over to my best friend and walks over to the table. When I tell you my heart dropped, my heart has never sank so deep inside me so fast. He sits down and asks her, is this Mackenzie? When I tell you I busted out laughing so freaking hard I fell out of my chair. And almost everybody in the restaurant turned around and looked at me, and so did my dad. And I walk over to the table and I'm like, what the heck is going on here? My best friend is literally just sitting there in shock, no emotion on her face. Then he looks at us, he looks really confused, his face goes blank, and then he goes, I was just trying to teach y'all girls a lesson. I told my mom and I was just getting a laugh out of it, and then she looked through his phone and said that he was meeting up with a bunch of 14-year-old girls. So comes to find out, my dad is a pedophile. My mom kicked him out, and if you're one of those girls, I really do apologize.
One day in 5th grade we were on a field trip. On the bus I was sitting next to this weird girl named Patty McBerry. For some fucking reason Patty was so excited about the trip. We were going to a fucking museum. What the actual fuck, who likes museums? They are so fucking boring. Anyways, halfway through the trip Patty McBerry started coughing viciously. She had a seizure due to overexcitement. She was shaking from happiness for the rest of the ride. When we got there Patty McBerry ran out of that bus faster than coronavirus spreads. She fainted because she was so excited. The tour guide had to hold on to Patty while he showed us around because she was too hyper. Out of nowhere, Patty McBerry broke free and ran right to the live animal section. She went to the gorilla's enclosure and smushed her face against the cage wall. Then out of nowhere she starts climbing up the fucking wall. Patty McBerry jumped into the enclosure and tackled the gorilla out of excitement. The gorilla ate Patty and she died.
McDonald's and I specifically asked for no pickles on my burger because I'm allergic. This fat shat waddle McDonald plumpy lumpy scummy tummy in urgent need of liposuction ass bitch puts like 8 pickle slices in my burger and I went into shock and started swelling up and hyperventilating. The same roast beef pussyfoot came up and started acting shocked as if I didn't just tell her I was allergic. I threw a chair at her face and she collapsed. We both got taken to the hospital and were put right next to each other and we both apologized and hugged. We are now married and she's expecting a baby girl.
Sister making TikToks in my room, and my dog starts barking at my window crazy, and I look out the window a few times and I see nothing, and then we go outside. She is the one shining the light and she says she sees nothing, and I don't see anything either, so I just forget about it. I'm like, oh, it's just a rat or something trying to get in my window and stuff like that, and then I hear scratching and I'm like, it's getting louder. My parents are like, it's probably just a squirrel. Then I just wait a few seconds and it's getting even louder, so I tell my dad, and he opens the garage door and goes outside and he starts screaming. He's like, hey, get back, get back. My sister starts running, and there's a freaking man standing out there trying to get in my window, and it was 8 at night. Like, who does that? I'm so scared of what his intentions were. He had no bag, no phone, know anything, and that's so scary. So my dad starts chasing him down the street, and then all my neighbors come out to help my dad chase him. And then he goes down the black path, and the other neighbors are helping him. One of our neighbors yells, "Hey, we got him!" So everyone starts running over there. After the police show up, they're shining a bunch of lights up the hill and asking us questions, and he's hiding up there somewhere.